For this exercise, we're going to do swimmer in a teacup. And to be able to do this, initially you will need to open up the two images that you intend to use. So one of those is called swimmer.jpg, the other one is called teacup.jpg. So the images are a teacup as viewed from above, and a swimmer also viewed from above. The angle of view is important to make it look more believable. If you have a teacup from above and a swimmer that's not quite from above, whenever you put the images together, it will not look right. Ideally, you want to see the images together on screen, so depending on the version of Photoshop that you're using, in older versions of the software you can press the letter F for Foxtrot, on the keyboard to scroll through the desktop options, and whenever you see that the image has a blue surround and you can see other images with it, you're able to drag those images left and right so that you can see them side by side on the screen. If you're in the newer version of the software that has tabbed items at the top of the screen, you can either grab the individual tabs and drag them down so that you can see the items side by side, or you can go into your window menu, click on Arrange and float all in Windows, and then start to arrange your items until they're side by side. Here we can see that the swimmer and the teacup are separated. In this instance, the swimmer is the target image. The target is the one that we want to copy from, and the teacup then becomes the destination, which is where we want to put the swimmer into. So at this stage, if we click on the swimmer image to make it active and then choose the elliptical marquee tool, when we choose the elliptical marquee tool, in most versions of the software or in older versions of the software, it is left 1 option 2. However, in the newest version of the software, it's right 1 option 2. If you hold down your mouse on the image and drag out, you'll see that you start to make a selection, and it's typically round or roundish. It'll either be oval or circular or thereabouts. We're not going to worry too much here about accuracy because I will show you how to make it more accurate. One thing that you do need to do though, as you start dragging the mouse, once you start dragging, you also have to hold down the Shift key on the keyboard. And this maintains a circular selection, and you need to let go of the mouse first before you let go of the keyboard, otherwise you lose your circular selection. It goes back to ellipsoid. Okay, so once you've got a selection made, you should see marching ants marching around your selection area. It may not be the right size or it may not be in the right position, but currently do not worry about that. To be able to move it, and we want to move just the selection, not the pixels with the selection, so whenever we move the selection, it's only the marching ants that move. You need to still be on your elliptical marquee tool or any of the selection tools, doesn't really matter which one. And if you look at the top of the options bar, you've got the first 4 icons. You need to make sure that it's on the first icon, which is new selection icon. And this is important because that's the one that allows you to move selections about. Whenever you click on some of the other icons there in that batch of 4 icons, you'll either be adding to, subtracting from, or knocking out from your current selection. So that first icon is the most important one for you to be able to move selections around. To be able to change the size of the selection, you need to go into the Select menu at the top of the screen and click on Transform Selection. This allows you to drag out the corner handles of your selection, and again by holding the Shift key you'll be able to maintain that circular ratio. At this stage you have a bounding box around your selection, which is that little square box with the handles. And assuming that you've resized it to the size that you want it to be, to confirm your intentions, hit the Return or Enter key on your keyboard and the bounding box will disappear. This confirms that you have resized the image and you should now see a bigger selection on screen. So once you've moved the selection to cover the part of the swimmer that you want to bring into the teacup, the next thing that you need to do is click on the Move tool. By clicking on the Move tool, you're now marrying up the selection with the pixels underneath or the image underneath. And whenever we click on the Move tool, we're going to grab the swimmer, which is inside the selection, and drag the mouse over to the teacup image. At this stage you will see that the cursor changes from a little black arrowhead to a white arrowhead with a plus sign in a square. So the cursor has changed once you actually move from your swimmer image into your teacup image. So this is actually a move and paste option, and this is quicker than the copy and paste options that you have available. It also saves you several mouse clicks, it saves you some effort as well. Whilst we're in the teacup image, the layers palette now has 2 layers. So it has a background layer which is the teacup, and it has a layer 1 which is the swimmer. If the swimmer is too big or too small for the teacup, you can click on layer 1, make sure that that one's highlighted, and then go into the Edit menu, down to Transform, and then Scale. Here you can resize the layer So if you grab a corner handle, and you have to remember as well about the proportion or the aspect ratio, remember to hold down the shift key to maintain proportion. If you drag the corner in towards the center of the image, you're actually making the image smaller, and if you drag it out from the center of the image, you're making the image larger. Your objective here is to make the swimmer fit inside the teacup and maybe have a little bit of white just above the swimmer to make it look as if the teacup's not quite full. Again, once you have resized the image, and you're still on the move tool so you can also place the image at the same time, once you want to confirm those, you just press the return key or the enter key on your keyboard to allow the scale to take effect. And then it's now time to save the image. So at the minute we have 2 layers. If we go to save the image, it will want to save as a PSD copy, which is Photoshop document. And this is advantageous because it allows you to save the layers independently. So you could go in again later on and either delete the swimmer, or you can move her about or resize her again. If you want to be able to post this onto social media or be able to print the item, it's much safer to save it as a JPEG. Now, whenever you save it as a JPEG, you will have quality options, and if you're working with photographic images and you're doing work similar to this, always make sure that your quality is a 12. And guys, that's the end of this tutorial. Thank you for listening.